In this video, we will be going over a fan favorite fantasy matchup between two of the most feared and accomplished boxers, Roy Jones Jr. and Andre Ward. In this matchup, we will see the seemingly inhuman Roy Jones Jr. versus an undefeated force of power and timing that is Andre Ward. Two tough boxers facing timing and footwork as sharp as the other. In this video, we will be leaving out the impact the boxer has made on the sport, and we will be breaking down the strengths and weaknesses of each fighter to build a realistic result in this prediction. As these two boxers fought in different weight classes, the fighter's prime weight class can be disputed, so we will imagine this matchup pound for pound, size being taken out of the discussion. Starting off with Roy Jones Jr., who was a disciplined fighter that had amazing hand speed and unorthodox footwork. Jones Jr. commanded his opponents with style, speed, and intimidation. Jones Jr. was dominant across 4 weight classes, having had titles in middleweight, super middleweight, light heavyweight, and heavyweight. One weakness Jones Jr. had was a loose guard, which made his defense fundamentals difficult for him. This gave Jones problems during his losses in his career. Andre Ward could potentially expose these flaws, being so fundamentally sound. Some notable facts of Roy Jones Jr. are: he was the only boxer in history to debut in his pro career at light middleweight and go on to win a heavyweight title. Roy Jones Jr. was the 3-time Best Boxer ESPY Award winner in years 1996, 2000, and 2003. Roy Jones Jr. won 17 fights in a row via knockout. His opponent, Andre Ward, was a very complete boxer with great fundamentals and counter punches. Ward used accuracy in the ring to retire undefeated and was inducted into the International Boxing Hall of Fame in 2021, the first year he was eligible. Ward entered the Super 6 World Boxing Classic Tournament in 2009, winning the WBA Super Middleweight title. Then going all the way to win the tournament and win the WBC title and vacant ring and lineal titles in 2011. Hard to expose any weaknesses from a fighter with a perfect record. However, Ward's biggest weakness would be that he lacked speed and power, which Jones had a surplus of. Andre Ward was not known for his athleticism, but his ring IQ and putting it all together. Some notable facts of Andre Ward are: he won Rings Fighter of the Year in 2011. Andre Ward appeared in films Creed 1 and Creed 2, portraying Danny Stuntman Wheeler. Andre Ward won gold in the 2004 Athens Olympics. To conclude, I believe the winner is Roy Jones Jr. For his ring IQ and pure athleticism, I believe he would overwhelm his opponent, making Andre Ward unable to withstand Jones' constant pressure and power. I came to this conclusion based off of the belief that while Andre Ward was very fundamentally sound, Jones's physical ability would outweigh a not-so-athletic Andre Ward. Of course, there is a possibility that Andre Ward's sharp fundamentals would edge out Jones Jr.'s awkward style over rounds. However, I see Jones ultimately victorious. Comment your prediction below. If you enjoyed this video, like and subscribe. We post more videos like this every Saturday.